Greetings, West Sacramento. Welcome to West Sac Best Eats, where we dine on all the fabulous food West Sacramento restaurants have to offer. Heard exclusively here on KYWS-LP 92.9 FM on your radio dial. I'm your host, Vince Nicholas. I'm joined by my sparkling wifey, Carolyn Nicholas.
Hello.
Hello, honey. Thank you for joining me at our dining room table for our little program here. Okay. So we ate at Capitol Bowl, and Capitol Bowl is located at 900 West Capitol Avenue in West Sacramento in the state of California. So usually West Sac Best Eats, we go to restaurants. Capitol Bowl is a bowling alley, but they do have a food component, which we dined at. And we're just going to talk about that and just the premises, the facility in general, the bowling alley. They deem themselves a modern bowling alley, which they are. Okay, we went to Capitol Bowl because it was Lennox's birthday. Lennox Albert Garcia, our son, he turned 11, and we were like, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" And he said, "I don't know," about 80 different times over the course of 3 weeks. So we kept asking him. So we proposed bowling alley because it's super close to us in West Sac. And we've been there before. We went for Luna's birthday last year. And it's a good time. It's a good time. And it was just something close, something easy. So that's what we chose. We let them choose 10 friends. And then we winnowed it down to the top 5.
And why did we do that? Because it's 6 bowlers per lane.
Yes.
And so we said, let's stick to one lane. You can only invite 5 friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you have a wedding invite list and you and your bride-to-be come up with 300 people and you're like, if we can't afford an $80,000 wedding, let's narrow it down to 60 people on each side. So we had them do the top 5. It was lots of politics happening in that boardroom. Lots of, I like this kid because of this, but this kid might give me a better present. And I don't know, this kid might get mad at me, and this friend is nice to me on Discord and Nintendo Switch. But he came up with the top 5, much like the old MySpace or T-Mobile top 5. So we did Saturday, 11:30 a.m. We booked it. You can book it online. There's a $5 fee, which, but turns out when we got there, it was super busy. It was like almost 100% capacity. Lots of people were bowling, so I'm glad we booked ahead of time. So we just had the reservation, walked in, got there 11 a.m.-ish for an 11:30 appointment. Big Jonathan, one of Lennox's top 5 friends. He should do like Letterman, like the top 5 friends of all time ever. Number 5, drum roll please, Big Jonathan. In no particular order, actually. But Big John, we love Big John. And he was already there with his mom. And so right away, he had a bag of Hot Cheetos. He was snacking on them. And so we walk up and right away he gives Lennox a bag of Hot Cheetos and $20 cash for his present.
Excellent present.
I was like, best present ever, yo. One thing about Big Jonathan, well, it's in his name. He's big. He's a large dude for 11. But when we were doing the bowling shoe size, what size do you wear? Big Jonathan wears 10.5, dude. I'm an 11.
He's practically your size.
I know. And I'm almost 27 years old. This is crazy. He's a tall boy. He's a big, strong, growing boy. And on that note, he did have the small bag of Cheetos that he was munching on. But right away, he started putting his elbow in your side or something, honey. He was saying he was hungry, right?
Yeah. He said, "Hey, I'm hungry." And I said, "Okay, we're gonna get food after we bowl."
Right. The plan was bowl for an hour, and then they got the food right there, and then we'll dine on some pizza. But he kept needling you, insisting. He's like, "I'm hungry." He kept telling you, "I'm hungry, hungry, hippo." So you relented in the middle of bowling, and you got 2 large pepperoni pizzas, all because of Big John. Now, okay, I'm sort of new to this stepdad/dad/family thing, honey, but hosting a birthday party for some kids, and one of them shows up hungry. What's my obligation? Like, we're gonna eat.
Of course I was going to feed the kids. That was a part of the plan.
Right.
To be fair, though, he's such a tall, growing boy.
Yeah.
He's probably always hungry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can't help it.
Yeah. Can you imagine like 3 or 4 of those? Well, you had 3 brothers.
Yeah.
I'm surprised your parents didn't go broke. Eat them out of house and home. But Big Jonathan, sweet kid, good kid. But yeah, he did. He bullied you, honey. He cyber bullied you.
I want to thank Jonathan because I'm happy that it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
Because all the kids dove in and devoured it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking they can't simultaneously bowl and eat pizza, but of course they could.
Yeah.
It worked out perfectly, and they were all hungry. They all devoured the pizza.
Yeah, yeah. And then also too, if we had waited after bowling, you got to wait on the pizza, and then if parents start showing up or if they're late, you have to deal with that whole thing. So bowling was done, food was done. Okay, you got to go home. you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out of here. You had to go pick up Lincoln, another one of Lennox's top 5 friends. So it was me, Big John, and Len, and we were all just sitting at a table in the bowling alley. And Big John, when his mom dropped him off, I said, "Big John, where's your mom going?" When we were all sitting there at the table, and he said, "Oh, Chico." And I was like, "Oh, what's in Chico?" He's like, "Oh, she's going to a baby shower." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember being that age. Like in your 20s and 30s, there's baby showers, there's weddings, and then they stop in your 40s, and then
what?
And then you kind of malaise around for 30 years, and then you die." It might have been too heavy-handed of a subject for them. But they didn't seem to look up from their telephones, honey. Roblox is very compelling.
They were talking to each other through the phone while sitting next to each other.
Yeah, like this old guy blabbering on and on about dying and death. Crazy old man. So Capitol Bowl, like their food is not an afterthought. Like a lot of bowling alleys you go to, and bowling is there, it's featured, and then they sort of have like a food area, like a couple counter stools. Stools is the word I'm going. A couple stools at the counter, and you might order some mozzarella sticks, and they reach into a bag of 90 frozen mozzarella sticks and fry them up for you for $9. But at Capitol Bowl, it's a feature. Like if anything, their food is more like pronounced or more emphasized because there's a lot of tables, there's a lot of booths, there's a full bar. It's a happening spot.
It's practically a bar and grill attached to a bowling alley.
Yeah.
It stands on its own.
Yeah. It's nice to have a bowling alley that has good food, cares about their food, and it isn't just some here's a hot dog that we put together for 6 cents and we're going to charge you $4 for. But yeah, food is definitely on the forefront of Capitol Bowl. And then their food area, I mean, it's all under the same operation, under the same roof. Formerly, it's called Cap's Bar and Grill. We did the reservation, but we didn't do the birthday party package because it's north of $200. They give you a room. There's more hand holding, and okay, that's cool. But we spent about half that.
And Lennox didn't need all that. It was more of a casual, low-key party.
Yeah, they have video games. It's a small little arcade, but there's something there.
The boys were happy with it.
They went crazy. You gave them a bunch of quarters. Mild criticism is that there isn't a lot of elbow room between bowling lanes. And 5 boys, were there 5 or 6?
We lost count.
5 or 6 11-year-old boys don't have all the social cues yet. So they were like spilling. They weren't minding their P's and Q's.
Yeah.
They were kind of drifting into other people's bowling lanes, and there isn't a lot of room. Sometimes they were blocking our bowling neighbors. So just FYI, there isn't a lot of space between bowling lanes, but thankfully the people right next to us, they skedaddled. Their game was over or whatever, so we had room. We put our pizzas there.
Yeah, we spread out.
Lennox and his friends were eating there, and it just gave us a lot more breathing room. You tried to play bowling lane cop, and you were like, Lennox, come over here. Dominic, get out of there. Lincoln, don't stand there.
At some points, I was literally standing with my arms out like air flight.
Yeah. Air traffic
controller lady,
yeah.
like trying to
yeah.
hurdle the kids.
All you needed was those neon lightsabers, whatever. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah. And I was just standing there like, it's like herding cattle is what it was. Yeah. But no elbows were bumped, no feelings were hurt, nothing got out of hand. But it was something to deal with. You made some cupcakes, which we brought to the bowling alley. But beforehand, I was like, well, are you going to bring some cupcakes to the bowling alley? And you said, no, they don't allow it. But I emailed them, I contacted them, and they said, sure, birthday cupcakes are good.
I just assumed that they wouldn't. Yeah. So I was really surprised they let you bring, not outside food, but right. For like a birthday or a party, you can bring outside cake or cupcakes or dessert. Yeah.
Well, what happened was you baked them, and then we have the like styrofoam to go containers. We have a few of those, so we put them in there, and we just had them at the table. We were sitting there, and then a Capital Bowl employee walked up to us and was like, you can't have outside food, because she thought it was Chinese. Or
it looks like takeout containers.
I know. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And we were like, no. And we opened it and we were like, just cupcakes, and we cleared it. She's like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. But just FYI, you can bring birthday cupcakes and birthday cake, but don't be sneaking in no Panda Express up in there. So boys will be boys, honey. And I used to be young. I know it's hard to believe, but Len and his friends were most taken by the video screen, because you can change your profile picture, you change the theme, you change your name, and they were taken with it. And they spent a lot of time changing names, taking wacky selfies. It was a good old time. But of course, kids will be kids, and a few of them changed their names to objectionable words, maybe.
Questionable, cancelable, maybe.
Yeah. A little ribald, a little offensive.
I was worried someone was going to look from another bowling lane over at our screen and question our parenting skills.
Yeah, and call the popo. At one point, I was like, okay, if I was 11, this would be funny. And I would be engaging. And the gregariousness would be off the chain. But right now, as a 22-year-old parent, I was like, this is cringe, girl. But it didn't, no one took notice. We didn't get in trouble. But I did take a picture of the video screen with said deplorable words on it. And I will be tweeting that picture to YouTube, NBC Universal, and iHeartRadio Sacramento to hopefully get those 5 to 6 boys deplatformed and canceled. And I might even dox them. Okay, but it was a good time.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
They had a blast.
Yeah. It's perfect. They go wild. They go crazy. They don't care about the score. We had to put up the bumpers.
Yes.
Okay, full disclosure. Well, the first few boys did their turns, and they weren't the best bowlers. It wasn't. They weren't exactly Randy Quaid and Kingpin. So I was like, you know what? Let's put up the bumpers, and that made it more pleasurable.
I thought it was going to be an ordeal, or we'd have to pay extra, go find an employee. But on the screen there, you can choose which lane, and there's just a little button. You can select bumpers or no bumpers. So convenient.
Yeah. So Cap's Bar and Grill, again, it's all under the same roof, the same operation. Last year for Luna's thing, we got fries. And fries there are $7, which is an outrageous price. Most places, an order of French fries is around $4. But at Cap's Bar and Grill, they give you a plate full of fries. If you order fries, they give you the plate, and then they fill it with a mountain of fries.
It's a giant serving.
So $7 is a good price, maybe a bargain. But last year for Luna's birthday, she had was her and 3 or 4 girls. But you bought about $30 in fries. But it was fries as far as the eye can see. A buttload of fries. Heck of fries. $7 is high, but you get a lot. Muchos papas fritos. It might be fritas. But this year for Lennox's birthday, we just got 2 pepperoni pizzas. They're $20 each. What did you think, honey? Their pepperoni pizza, thoughts, feelings, comments, reflections?
It was so good.
They were good.
So good. It's a fairly thin crust.
Yes. Which I like in my older days. Cut the carbs. You still get that pizza scratch.
It's not super thin,
right,
but it's on the thinner side. Yeah. I really liked it too.
Yeah.
Gooey, tons of cheese, not a ton of sauce.
Yes.
Which I love my sauce.
You love sauce. I'm anti-sauce.
But
you're anti-sauce.
The cheese was so gooey and abundant that I still got that essence.
Yeah.
Of that. I didn't miss the sauce.
Yeah.
So much. It was delicious pizza.
Yeah.
I was really surprised.
Yeah. It was very good. For these top 3 reasons, Cap's Bar and Grill pizza is bussin'. Like you said, thin crust, not super thin, but it wasn't a ton of dough. So good dough is really good, but 99% of pizzas don't have good dough, and it's just a bunch of bread and doughy and mealy, and you end up with a bunch of carbs and calories that you're not out here looking for. But I like the thin crust. Well, going back to the sauce, you like sauce. I don't like sauce. So it was like easy sauce, light on the sauce, which I dug. And then it was hot, obviously, fresh made.
Piping hot.
Yeah, piping hot. And then finally it was greasy. There was a good amount of grease. I'm not sure if it was from the pep or the cheese, but it was a good amount of grease. I was like, oh, this is quality. This is getting on my hands. I need some napkins. But I thought the pizza isn't going to wow you and knock your socks off and be the best pizza of all time ever in history. But for a bowling alley, it's perfect. It
was so good. I wish we could have gotten 3 pizzas instead of 2.
Yeah.
But maybe it was okay that we didn't.
Yeah, they mowed through the pizzas.
Yes, they did.
Quickly. It was how many pizzas did Big John had? He probably had like 12. Just kidding. So bowling happened, and then you unleashed them in the arcade. But you didn't have any cash. And I didn't have any cash. So you took the $20 bill that Big Jonathan gave Lennox for his birthday present. You took it from him and did the change machine. $20 in quarters whoosh, came out from the bottom, and you just kind of allocated it out.
Yes.
Somewhat fairly.
So I had to pay Lennox back $20 later on because that was his birthday money.
Yeah. There's no ATM there. But one thought I had is that I used to be young, honey. I used to be in my 20s. But I remember, like, you would need money, and there would be an ATM. It might be in a bar. It might be in 7-Eleven. It might be in a nightclub. But you're like, you put your card in there, and there was a $3 fee, a $4 fee, a $5 fee, and on and on.
Outrageous.
Right. But you were like, well, this machine is going to give me $20 bill for $4. It doesn't seem like a big ask.
When you're 22 and you're out on the town, it's worth it.
Right.
You need that cash.
Right.
You'll pay any amount for that cash.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah. Now, like, you couldn't pay me enough to be out of network in my ATM. I drive to Chase Bank, which isn't very far. If I ever need cash, I got to go to my specific Chase Bank ATM. Paying a fee seems outrageous when in reality, I could afford it more than ever. But back in the day, you're like, $5 fee. I might have had a few cervezas, a few drinks. I might be a little lit, as the kids say. Might be under the influence. I'll pay a fee. But now, no way. I would never pay an ATM fee. You couldn't pay me enough. You couldn't pay me enough to pay ATM fee. One more thing about Big Jonathan is that you made a bunch of cupcakes, which we mentioned, and then he took 3 of them, And he said, I'm taking these home for my sister. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Put him up to a lie detector test.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Take the cupcakes.
Yeah.
And bless your little heart.
Yeah. Well, just stay there for you. If you want them, take them. Who cares? He ate a ton of pizza. He ate a ton of cupcakes. But whatever. It was a good time.
He likes my cooking. He tells me I'm a good cook, so he's a sweet boy.
Yeah.
He butters me up and I feed him more and more.
Yes. You made him. What did you make?
I made a pizza here. Oh.
Waffle, and it was sweet and salt and savory, right?
The same group of boys was at our house, and I was making them little homemade pizzas. Yeah. And I was also making them like peanut butter and jelly.
Eggo
waffles, like a sandwich.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to combine the two, so he wanted an Eggo waffle with the pizza toppings.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good.
It wasn't good. Well, the sweet and savory can work, but it also cannot work. But yeah, we love B. Jonathan. I thought a grand time was had by all, successful. And it wasn't at our home, so we didn't have to deal with kids flying out of the window and crashing into our walls and making a huge mess. It was like, you guys go crazy here. And they did. Lincoln seemed to like running around, especially in the bowling alley. But and then everyone got picked up and peace was restored in the land. Alrighty, well there you have it, my fellow West Saxons. Thumbs up for Capitol Bowl, and I hope you get a chance to enjoy them like we did. Sending you all love and light. Thank you for listening to West Sac Best Eats, where we dine on all the fabulous food West Sacramento restaurants have to offer. Heard exclusively here on KYWSLP 92.9 FM on your radio dial. # West Sac Best Sac. Bye.